At what point in this illness did you think there's a good chance she's going to die?
I didn't think at all that she was going to die.
How could you not think that?
Delusional. I don't have a reason why I couldn't think that. I was just being such a hopeful mom. I suppose I don't have a good reason for you. Sorry.
What was your...
This is Tatiana Fusari. Hours earlier in Kent County, police found her 10-month-old daughter, Mary Welch, dead after prolonged malnourishment and dehydration. Fusari will tell detectives that Mary received full feedings every 2 hours. What makes this interview worth watching is how each detail becomes testable against a worsening condition, the decision not to seek medical help, and the delay before 911. The question from the opening comes much later. First, detectives let her build the routine.
On a typical day, what time in the morning would be your first feeding with her?
At that time?
At that time.
Maybe 5
a.m.
3:30, 3:30, and then.
So at 3:30 she would wake up,
Mm-hmm.
and would she do a full feeding?
Yes, although she would fall asleep, so I'd wake her up.
You just keep nudging her.
She was full, yeah.
And now typically speaking, at 3:30 when you woke her up, would she need a diaper change as well?
No.
Okay, so.
She wouldn't, because she was up at midnight before that eating.
So the last feeding for the night would be midnight. Well, let's just start at 3:30. That'll give us a good time frame. So at 3:30 there'd be a full feeding, and her diaper was fine. No pee, no poop. She's good.
Yeah, she was fine.
So then, when would be the next feeding?
Between 5 and 6. And that's when I would change her.
And would that be another full feeding?
Yes.
Okay. So the next feeding, we have a 5 to 6 time frame. The next feeding would have been when, about?
8 to 9.
8 to 9.
Yeah, she would feed every 2 hours, on average.
Every feeding was a full feeding?
Yes, she was, yeah.
How about the diaper situation on that one?
It's just always pee. So every time I got her up to feed her during the day, there was always pee.
So every daytime feeding had a wet diaper?
Yes.
Holy smoly.
Yeah, well, she was eating a lot.
That schedule does more than sound thorough. By describing full feedings, wet diapers, and a 2-hour pattern, Fusari is using routine to support the picture of attentive care. But the detective quietly repeats the schedule and gives her room to correct it. Once she accepts that summary, the story is no longer simply that Mary was fed. It is a set of measurable commitments. Watch what happens when Fusari acknowledges that Mary's weight had already concerned her.
And how do you feel about weight size? Was she okay, or was she...
I was a tad concerned, but then I remembered, I'm a mom, so I'll just worry about anything.
Sure.
But then I remembered Elizabeth and how petite she was then, and how she would fill in lengthwise but not widthwise until she was about a year.
So what was your tad concern? What was that? Was she just not gaining enough weight, or was that the concern?
It was possibly, it was just, I think what got to me was seeing like other babies just so chunky and always hearing like, oh, she's so small, and I was like, yes, she's premature, she's petite. Leave it alone, you know. And then also, I forget, like, all these babies are formula fed, and there's nothing against formula. Sometimes mothers need to do it, but the formula is what chunks up the baby quickly, and I just didn't do that. So then I got it out of my head. It was just a little.
So you had a little bit of a concern due to her weight, but not her length. But you weren't overly concerned. You got it out of your head because you realized that she's fine. And
I was being.
Okay. So you felt that she was developing good at that point?
Yes.
And you're educated in this area, so
I am.
If there's anyone that should know, it would be you. I mean, probably better than us two.
I'd like to think so. Paid for all that education, it should help, right?
So, because you're educated in early childhood development, is that what you said?
Yes.
So, and where's that education through?
It started out at City College of New York.
Okay.
And my credits transferred to Grand Rapids Community College.
Okay, so then...
Fusari has admitted concern without accepting that it required action. She normalizes Mary's size by comparing her with another child and by suggesting formula made other babies look heavier. That protects the feeding account while explaining away the warning sign. Her early childhood education now matters because lack of basic knowledge becomes a narrower option. It does not prove what she understood at home. It gives detectives a standard they can return to after they reconstruct the final day.
So the last time she would have ate would have been 1:30 yesterday in the afternoon?
No. I feed her again at 1:30, and then...
What was that feeding?
Nursing and some oatmeal.
How long was that nursing?
The nursing was about 20 minutes. The oatmeal took longer because she was about 8 ounces of oatmeal. And then I would, I think the kids were still outside. I just, resting my feet before work because I'm just standing for 8 hours.
That was at 1:30?
Yeah. So then, 2:30 was when Mary would finish eating. So 2:30 was, yep.
So yesterday morning, when you got her up at 7, she had spit up?
No, this morning.
Oh, this morning.
At 9, when I got her up, when I tried to get her up.
Yeah.
I thought maybe she choked on her spit, and that's why.
What color was her spit up?
It was foamy and brown. So I thought maybe it was the oatmeal and the fruit mixed in there.
So where was the spit up at?
The side of her mouth, the side of her face.
And was that, did you think, and I don't know, was it food? Was it blood?
No, it wasn't blood.
It was not blood?
No,
Did she have any kind of vomiting of blood or anything like that?
No, never.
Okay.
We would have taken to a doctor if that ever happened.
So you were certain it was food?
Yes, because that's what...
And it was...
The harmless details have become a hard timeline. Fusari places the final feeding at about 2:30 and confidently identifies what she later saw by Mary's face as food. Specificity can make an account sound credible, but it also fixes the last caregiving event and the interpretation of a visible symptom. Detectives are about to move from what Mary supposedly received to what Fusari did when she found her unresponsive. The order of those decisions will matter more than any single emotional reaction.
And then that's when you noticed that she was unresponsive. Was this morning when you saw that? And what happened next?
Excuse me. Her eyes were open.
Did anything else look strange other than obviously the spit up and that her eyes were open? Or other than that, did she look as usual?
She's just cold.
Okay.
So I went in to get Seth. And I told him it's an emergency, and he's like, and I was just so shocked, and he reminded me I knew CPR, and he told me to start. So I took her from the bed and I put her on her changing table, and I started CPR, and I did the 2-finger touch on the chest, just because if you use your whole hand, you could break ribs, and I just didn't want to do that, for sure.
I know this is tough.
So I did a 2-finger touch on her chest and her back, and I wiped her mouth, and I did.
So you did this on the kitchen table?
No, the changing table.
On the changing table in the bedroom.
Yes.
So you said you did it on her mouth, and then you wiped her mouth.
I wiped her mouth first because it was the spit up. And now that I think about it, I think it was banana and oatmeal. You know when banana's been sitting out and it's very ripe?
Oh, yeah.
It gets that like brownish color?
Yeah.
But ripe banana's very sweet, and she eats the oatmeal better with it.
So what did you wipe her mouth with?
A baby wipe, a lavender-scented baby wipe.
Okay, and then you did what with that?
I threw it in the garbage.
Okay.
Well, not immediately, no. I just wiped her and put it to the side.
Just wiped her into it, no. Yeah.
Right next on the changing table.
And then you picked her up out of the bed?
Yes, and then I put her on the changing table, and then when I was pumping her chest, there was like bubbles, bubbles coming out of her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought maybe that's why I thought she choked. And then maybe if I kept pumping, maybe it would come out, and then she'd cough and wake up. Because I just kept wiping the bubbles, and I was giving her air and giving her pumping with my feet, which is my 2 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should have done more.
Nope, you were doing it right.
And she was still so cold, and I think maybe 10 minutes. It's so hard to gauge time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And his son was with me the whole time, and he's just asking me, is she dead? Is she gone? While he's crying, just asking me, is she gone? And it's just so hard to say yes. And I just said yes. She's just unresponsive. And then we had no idea what to do then at all. Like, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
And so he called his parents, or he called his dad first, excuse me, and his dad said, okay, your mom and I are on our way. Call the police. Let them know what happened, and we'll try and get there before they do. And then we just spent the entire time on the couch waiting and crying. We did sleep. It was just...
The key sequence is now established. Fusari attempts CPR, Seth contacts his parents, and the couple waits. The point is not whether her distress looks convincing. It is that emergency help is not yet first in the chain. By letting her narrate the sequence without interruption, detectives avoid supplying an explanation she can simply adopt. Next, they test another precise claim, whether Fusari saw Mary move when she came home the previous night.
So this morning you found her about 9 o'clock. And did you, is that what time you woke up?
No, I woke up at around 7. The kids are very consistent with their wake-up time at 7.
Mm-hmm. And she's always up at 7.
Yes, except when she's going through a growth spurt, she'll sleep in until about 9 or 10.
Okay.
Which is why I went to check in on her at 9, and I wondered why she wasn't up yet.
Okay.
But last night when I came home, I opened the door just a tad so it could make that noise. And
Yesterday you finished feeding her at 2:30.
Yep.
And you put her to bed at 2:30, and that was the last time you saw her because you went to work then.
Yeah.
Okay. But then you came home at 11:30, and when you opened the door, you saw movement from her.
Mm-hmm.
You're certain you saw movement
Absolutely.
from her? Okay.
Yes. Or else I would have said...
Uh-huh.
So, did you go any further into that room other than just looking through the door?
No.
The crack in the door?
I did not.
Was it the hole in the door or the crack in the door that you looked at?
It was a hole in the door. I didn't open the door completely. I just pushed it enough so it would make the noise. It's a very old, creaky door. So I pushed it enough. It makes the noise. It doesn't open the door completely. And she nudges because she hears it. And I just peek at her. I see her moving. And she's...
When you say that you saw her moving, how did you see her move? Can you describe that?
She was laying on her back still. Her blanket wasn't kicked off, and I only wrapped it right around the knees down to her feet to keep her feet warm. And she had her polar bear, but she likes to play with her polar bear before she goes to bed, so she kicked it off to the side. She was laying on her back. Her head was turned to the left side a bit. So when I pushed the door open, she jerked her arm a little and turned her head. So I could see that her eyes were so closed. She was squinting a bit, like, what was that? And then just, I said, okay, and that's what she does.
And what time would that have been?
Around 11:30, 11:45.
The late-night movement extends the time when Fusari says she believed Mary was alive. But notice the information source, a partly open door, a brief sound, and movement interpreted from a distance. That does not make the claim false. It makes her confidence more consequential than the observation itself. If she is certain, the timeline narrows. If she retreats, another specific detail becomes flexible. Detectives choose a different route. They confront what Mary's condition should have communicated long before that night.
And here's the thing. You're obviously a very concerned mom, but at what point did you know, what point did you think something was wrong? Because I know that you knew something, or you thought something wrong. You are an intelligent, educated woman. And at some point, you felt something was wrong.
It's not until she put me. I had so much, maybe it was just delusional hope that she was getting bigger and our cheeks were getting fuller and she was just so happy and playful. And then just these past couple days.
So at what point did she can't even weigh 8 pounds right now. She doesn't weigh 8 pounds. When's the last time that you actually inspected her, that you looked at her? Tell me the truth.
Every time when I change her, and I think I just may have been just so blinded, and I just...
What were you blinded by? Because I know, listen, you are an intelligent, articulate, college-educated, early childhood development. You know when you look at someone that something's wrong. I have a picture of her right here. I'm prepared to show you that tells you no medical treatment. As dumb as I am, I'm not near as intelligent as you. I can't speak the words you can speak. I am not you. And even I can look at this photo and I can say, whoa, something's wrong.
This is the control shift. Detectives are no longer asking what Fusari fed Mary. They are asking how an educated caregiver could see the condition and not seek help. Their parent-to-parent language adds moral pressure, and mentioning specialized training raises the emotional temperature. But the evidence conflict does not depend on the detective's reaction. It comes from the gap between repeated full feedings and a prolonged visible decline. Fusari now needs an explanation for inaction that can coexist with both claims.
You clearly need help too, though.
You're going to be dealing with this. This is baggage. This is something that... But all I want to know is what stopped you from seeking help? You knew something was wrong. What stopped you? Tell us the truth.
I mean, are you guys that financially strapped? I mean, what is it? Do you not believe in health care? Do you have religious beliefs? I mean, what is it?
We do have religious beliefs, and we were praying about it, and we have faith that...
When did you start praying about it?
I mean, when she was born, but consistently and heavily the past 4 days.
So 4 days ago, you started praying. What were your prayers?
Please help her gain weight. She's eating wise and it's sticking. She ate so much.
But so why
didn't it stick?
I have a strong faith as well, a very strong faith, and I think God answers prayers. I'm with you on that. I also think God puts people in places to help people, but we all have our own beliefs. But here's what I'm saying is that you guys knew enough was wrong to start heavily and consistently praying. Why didn't we seek help? You knew.
I just didn't.
No.
I didn't say anything to Seth.
Seth had to know? He doesn't ever hold her?
Yes, but he was also very faithful and trust in God and trust that it would be okay, and didn't think we needed to bring her to a doctor.
Prayer gives Fusari a reason category, but it also creates a timing problem. People do not pray heavily about a medical decline they have not recognized. The detective responds carefully, he affirms faith, then removes the false choice between belief and professional help. That move prevents the interview from becoming a debate about religion and returns it to conduct. Fusari's remaining flexibility now depends on when she noticed the decline and how long she believed feeding alone could correct it.
So when did you dilute yourself? When did you start? When did this condition start?
I think within a month it started to become a bit up and down. Her cheeks would be full and bright, and then a couple days later she would look ill or hungry, and then we're not hungry, just her cheeks wouldn't be as full as they were.
Shrunken in.
Yeah, and then.
So when did you notice that she had all her bones showing?
About a month.
About a month ago.
Let me ask you this: when was the last time you bathed her?
Maybe 2 weeks ago.
So about a month ago, you noticed that her bones are all showing, right? And so, is that when you started heavily praying?
No, it was the past few days, because about a month ago it would be full, and then 2 days later it would be sunken in, but then within the day it'd be full again. But then the past few days it wouldn't fill up as quickly as it did.
But listen, here's what I'm saying, Mary. Listen. I get that, but her legs were as small as my pointer finger. So that didn't happen in 3 days.
No.
And I know that you know that, and I know that you wanted to get her help, but I'm trying to just figure out, when did this happen? I understand that maybe you started seeing some kind of symptoms a month ago, but when did she consistently lose all of this weight? When did she consistently become skin and bones?
I think it was within the month. Because she was always just so thin. And
so within a month. So then why, when we had a month to look at her like this, why didn't we get help?
We thought she'd get better without getting help.
How did you think she was going to get better?
By feeding her and being with her.
Was she really truly eating the way that you were telling us?
Yes.
Placing the decline within roughly a month changes the structure of the story. Fusari still maintains that Mary was eating as described, so investigators now have two fixed claims: frequent feeding and a worsening condition visible over weeks. The interview cannot resolve the medical cause by itself, but it can test whether Fusari recognized the problem and what she did with that recognition. The detectives stop asking whether concern existed. They offer her a less identity-threatening question: what stood between her and help?
You know, there's going to be an autopsy done, okay? And there was a person from the medical examiner's office at the house, okay?
So we're gonna know all this, what we're saying.
Yeah.
But, and you're not a bad person. We get all this, and we get that there's a dynamic here that we're trying to figure out. There is a dynamic here, and I'm gonna tell you, I know it. I know there's a dynamic, and I feel that you wanted to get her help. I'm trying to just figure out why you didn't. What's the dynamic? What am I missing? Because you can't tell me that this Brooklyn, New York, this New York college, city college educated, Grand Rapids Community College, early childhood person didn't know that this girl needed help, but something stopped her. I'm trying to figure out what it is. What stood between you and help?
I think that I was worried about another CPS call from the doctors, and I thought that Mary would get better and it would be okay.
But at what point did you get better?
About 2 days ago. No, 3 days ago. 2 days.
So 2-3 days ago you thought she wasn't going to get better, so then why didn't we call then? What?
Because I thought that I was being doubtful, and
You thought you were being doubtful of Christ?
Yes. I thought I was lessening in my faith, and I just...
Is that what Seth thought, Joe?
That I was being doubtful?
No, I want to know, out of you two, which one of you wanted to go to take her to the doctor?
I know he didn't, and I didn't for a long time, until recently it just became a little thought in my head that maybe we should, and then I was worried about CPS and about just losing faith. We've had issues with CPS before, and I just didn't want to lose this kid.
So you thought you were losing faith by thinking you needed to go to the doctor?
That I wasn't.
The detective's reference to a household dynamic gives Fusari a path other than intentional harm. She begins placing the doctor decision around Seth, fear of Child Protective Services, religious doubt, and hope that Mary would recover. The shift is subtle. Earlier, she said she did not think a doctor was needed. Under narrower questions, she recalls conversations about a doctor from about a month earlier. That expansion may be genuine memory or story repair. The footage cannot decide which. Either way, it reduces her room to say the need never entered her mind. Her answer in the opening, being a hopeful mother, protects identity, but it still does not explain the decision timeline.
Conversations like with Seth.
You said a minute ago that you knew that he didn't want to go to a doctor.
Yeah, because we discussed it before, that we just...
Discussed her conditions?
Yes.
When was the first time you guys discussed that?
Maybe a month ago.
So a month ago is when, what did you notice a month ago? Because I'm certain you're the one, because you said that you know Seth didn't want to go, so obviously you're the one that brought up needing to go to the doctor. What did you notice a month ago?
That she was almost 9 months old and just wasn't filling into her clothing like she should, and you know, we talked about it, and you just have faith, and just we'll keep feeding her like we do, and keep nursing her, and keep her active, and she'll get there. It's okay, she'll get there.
Today at 9 o'clock, you found deceased. What time were we called?
I don't know.
I think it was...
Was it 11?
Yeah, it was like a long time. Why?
We called my in-laws first, and...
The time that the sheriff's department was called to respond to your house was at 12:06.
That's when they came, or that's when they were called?
That's when 911 was called.
That's when 911 was called, was 12:06.
3 hours and 6 minutes later.
My father-in-law said to wait until they were close, because they live an hour away, to wait until they were close before we called police so we can get there at the same time.
That would explain 1 hour. What about the other 2 hours and 6 minutes of waiting?
I think that we were in such a state of shock that we just didn't know what to do.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you ever look at how tiny and sunken and skeletal she looked and say, we're in trouble?
Yeah, I think actually it came across my mind today.
Did you guys have a discussion about it?
No.
Did he say anything to you about that?
No.
Did you?
Why did it come across your mind? What were you thinking? Is that why it took so long to call 911? I've never worked a case that's taken that long to call 911.
This has just never happened before with anyone we knew, or we waited for a response from my father-in-law to see what his advice was. We had no idea what to do. And he said, yes, we should call the police. We're on our way. Wait until we're close.
But even by your father-in-law, he wasn't even called until around approximately 10:30 to 10:45. So we're still looking at an hour and a half.
It may have been after 9 then, because that is a very long time, and it did not feel that long at all. It must have been just before 10 then. I'm sorry if I gave you the wrong time.
No.
You're not expected to check your watch every time you go check something. We're not holding you to all those times.
I know it was before 10, but it was definitely after 9. That is an excessively long time to just stand around there.
That's so. All right, let's even just give the benefit of the doubt and say it's 10.
Okay.
That's 10 o'clock. So, because like you said, you know it was before 10, but we'll just play it safe and say it was 10.
Okay.
And so 10 o'clock rolls around. You check everything. You did CPR for about 10 minutes, according to what you told me. So then, what'd you do for the next 2 hours? Because that's still.
Well, we waited.
Yeah. Before you called us, you waited for 2 hours before we got called.
We waited for my in-laws to come. We were trying to contact them, and then we got a response.
Well, we were trying to contact them. Was that like a long process to get a hold of them?
I actually don't know. I'm sorry. I was just.
2 hours remain unexplained. Fusari's earlier routine was precise enough to track meals and diapers, but this legally exposed interval becomes difficult to allocate. The detective uses the recorded 12:06 call and gives her a favorable discovery time instead of arguing over the exact minute. That removes a side dispute while preserving the central gap. Shock may explain disorganization. It does not supply the missing sequence. Next, the detective establishes a counterfactual, what Fusari says she would do if the emergency belonged to a stranger.
Let me ask you a question. You had been through some training, or early childhood development schooling and stuff like that, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever receive or go through any kind of like CPR training or anything like that?
I have, yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. If you were driving down the road, kids are in the back seat in their car seats, and you're driving down the road, and you witness a car accident, what are you going to do? And there's people that are bloody there at the scene. What are you going to do?
And my kids are with me in the car?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there's space for me to pull over, I'd pull over. I would check to see if anyone's responsive, and then I'd call the police so I can let them know what was going on. And if there's something I could do, I'd try, but I know that if there's any sort of injury that I'm not familiar with, I can't move the body.
Okay, so you know that you can call 911, right?
Yes.
So then why not call 911 immediately when your child's not moving? That's what I don't understand.
I think because it happened to me personally, it was my little girl. I just, in shock. I'm sorry I don't have an answer for you. I was just so, never could imagine that could happen.
Jason and I have been doing this a long time, and I understand, and I've seen it time and time again, everybody deals with stress and reacts to things differently. But if there's one thing that I've seen in the course of doing this job for a long time is there's usually never a hesitation to pick up the phone and call 911. That is a pretty ingrained, rapid, basic, life-saving response that is ingrained in everybody, especially in our country because of our emergency medical system that we have.
When did you first teach your kids about 911?
When
did you first teach your children about 911?
Less than a year ago.
Okay. So when you're doing CPR, you don't scream to Seth, call 911.
No. And I know that that's like the second step, or the first step, actually. What?
Did you think by calling 911 that he would think your faith was less?
No, not at all, actually.
Okay.
He called his dad first. Wiping the spit up from her face, and then he went to contact his parents. I don't know how long that took. I was just after she wasn't responding, I was just sitting there rocking her. I don't know for how long. I have no idea for how long. And then after he got off the phone with his dad said, okay, wait until we are close, and then call the police so we can get there at the same time they do, so we can help with anything, I suppose, legally.
The road accident question removes lack of emergency knowledge as an explanation. Fusari supplies the expected rule herself: stop, assess, and call for help. When the detective applies that rule at home, she returns to shock and to Seth's call with his father. This does not prove a calculated delay. It narrows the unresolved issue to decision-making under pressure, who controlled the next step, and why family or counsel came before the emergency system.
When you were going through school, Jason was talking about hitting on the CPR and stuff like that. Did you receive, what other kind of like developmental training did you receive getting your education in childhood development?
Physical,
nutrition,
yeah.
all that. What else?
Meal plans. In terms of how much, that's why I should be eating, and I was happy with how much she was eating. She was eating so much. That's like, this is such a surprise to me. And is there an actual condition that prevents weight gain?
Did you ever Google that?
No. Maybe. Maybe I did and I didn't find anything. Because I would probably know. And if a doctor was...
You would have found a lot, I think, if you Googled it. I think you'd have found a lot on that.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that you realize too much on WebMD and Google as a parent instead of actually going to a doctor? It's just an opinion question. I'm just curious.
I do.
Because you've kind of brought that up a couple times, and I'm just wondering
if I replace it
Yeah, I mean, do you kind of try to self-diagnose your children instead of taking them to a doctor? You just look it all up on WebMD and Google and try and figure it out yourself, or?
No, I do that more for myself. The only thing I actually to feed whatever age she was at the time to help her gain more weight. And, potatoes, etc.
So when you were going through early childhood development education, was that to be a teacher or a preschool teacher or daycare owner, operator type? That's for, right?
Yeah, it was to be a preschool teacher.
So I know I'm sure this was addressed. So what are some of the things they told you to look out for if you did have a student that came to school and had a failure to thrive type case?
Not eating.
What physical characteristics?
Thin, bones.
Like sunken in cheeks?
Ribs
showing? Thin arms?
Yeah.
Did you see those things in your own child?
So when you went through this education and and they told you to look out for that stuff, what was supposed to be your plan of action if you ever saw a child come to school like that?
It's called Child Protective Services.
Because you had a what to report? You'd have a duty, right?
Yeah.
The detective is no longer merely asserting that the signs were obvious. He asks Fusari to name the warning signs she learned to recognize in other children and the duty that would follow. Her own standard becomes the comparison. That makes the phrase, "I did not know," harder to leave as a broad answer, because she has demonstrated the vocabulary and the expected response. The next exchange goes further by comparing Mary with the two older children Fusari describes as healthy.
But you didn't help your older child?
No, I thought I was helping her by feeding her and nursing her and playing with her.
But 2 to 4 days ago, you knew it was really bad. Tuesday, you knew it was really bad. And so that is what prompted you more than ever to be checking and looking to make sure she wiggles when you move a door, and because of how she looks.
I did it every day regardless.
You did?
That matters.
Okay, yeah, it does matter, absolutely.
Every day, every night.
Nobody, Tatiana, for 1 second, I don't want you to think that anybody is trying to say that you didn't love your child.
No.
Okay? But I am going to be blatantly honest with you. You didn't provide the necessary care for your daughter. You didn't.
Do you think you did?
And we're just trying to figure out why.
Do you think you did right?
It's a very hard question to answer because she's dead. So no, I tried. I fed her so
But what
much.
stopped you? Truly, what stopped you?
From what?
From getting her help a month ago. Was it embarrassment? Was it fear? Was it? What was it?
I think it was fear of CPS. I think that I just thought that I was overreacting, and it was just all in my head because I tend to overthink things when it's not necessary, and I just thought there was another one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And our other two children are just so healthy, or am I delusional about that too? Like,
I don't know.
I don't
as
know.
far as they appear, I mean
What?
But here's the difference, though. You just said it right there. You just said it. As far as they appear. But we know it hasn't appeared healthy. So it's not a delusion. It's an observation that your other two children clearly appear healthy, right? And clearly didn't. That's comparing apples and oranges. So it shows that your observations were working. You weren't delusional. You know that these two appear healthy and this one didn't. So we need to go get this one fixed. Figure out what's wrong with her.
Fusari's use of the word delusional creates a broad explanation. Perhaps her perception could not be trusted. The detective narrows it with her own comparison. She can identify that the older children appear healthy and that Mary did not. The point is not to diagnose her or dismiss the possibility of coercion. It is that her observation was not globally absent. The remaining question is why recognition did not become action. Detectives then leave her alone while interviewing Seth. When they return almost 48 minutes later, they bring back an outside warning rather than another opinion.
Alright, we're just finishing up with Seth in there. So Seth basically says the same thing you said. Except for Seth, that he did say that you'd have to strap him and his family down to the table before a doctor could touch you guys. You don't agree with that? You don't have that same belief?
I do for the most part, but except for if somebody had a broken leg, he tends to be a bit dramatic. He grew up reading Shakespeare. That helps. Maybe you can tell.
Yeah, he's a smart guy though.
Very.
Yeah.
And he's very passionate and dramatic, so I'm not surprised he said that, but
So he said that his mom, starting about a month ago, has been telling him, I don't know if she told you, that child needs some medical care.
Yes, she has.
How many times has she told him that?
I don't know how many times she's told him.
How many times she told you that?
Once that I can remember.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
About a month ago.
Okay.
When I last saw her.
Now he said that she was just at your house, not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before that. Yeah.
Oh. Maybe, because we went to Golden Corral, so it could have been a few days before that, and he could be mixing Sundays up.
Okay.
But it was definitely within the month. It's just, dates are a little...
So within the last... She was at your house?
Yeah, and she still insisted on...
She still insisted on it? I mean, how many times did she insisted on it?
It was once that... I only recall one time. It could have been twice sometimes, because I may have brushed it off the first time she mentioned it. She's like, oh no, we're not going to a doctor. Just...
So that first time that you may have brushed off would have been how long ago?
I do recall, actually, when we went to her house while she was eating and then asked if I thought about the doctor. I told her, no, we're not worried about it. We're just praying about it. She said, okay. Well, her cheeks are looking fuller, so at least there's that. Just keep on feeding her.
She was saying that because of her weight?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys discussed her weight with you before?
I only recall that being the first real time.
Okay. When was the second time?
When she came to visit, within the month. It says it was the Sunday before last. It may have been, and we could have went to Golden Corral the Sunday before.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And what did she say that time?
She suggested instead of asked if we were going to. She suggested that we noted that her cheeks are redder and fuller, so thought that she was taking her food well.
Okay.
Seth's mother is important because her concern did not originate in the interrogation room. Fusari limits the warning to one occasion, perhaps two, and immediately returns to the same protective structure. They were praying, they kept feeding Mary, and they believed her cheeks looked fuller. That preserves the original account while conceding that another adult had raised medical care. The private misunderstanding option is now smaller. After the detectives step out again, Seth joins Fusari, and the interview acquires a completely different frame.
How you doing?
How are you?
Happy that I'm with you now.
Me too. Did you talk to your parents at all while you were waiting? What's going on?
Yeah, because we're such bad parents. Not even allowed to talk to them. separated their birth weight, height, and eating habits, and developmental skills, and early, including her pee and poop. And then I think that was a distraction, because right after that I was just like, why did it take you so long to call? I just kept berating with that. It wouldn't even let me answer.
So you saw the what?
To call the police after finding out.
I told you like 6 times. I was waiting for the lawyer to be there because we knew that this would happen.
And so I told them we were waiting for her. I did say your parents, but I said lawyers. And we were just, and what'd you do while you were waiting? I called off work. I slept, and I sat and cried.
Then listen to this, baby. Their job is to fill cells. It's their job. So they can fill 2 cells right now. And that's
asking me if you were angry. Like, it sounded like they were trying, I don't know if this is movie mind, but like separate us.
That's what they're doing. Trying to drive a wedge in between and then hope somebody accuses the other one.
Seth does not answer the feeding contradiction. He changes what the conversation is about. Police, he says, fill cells, create wedges, and try to make one partner accuse the other. That interpretation offers the couple a shared problem and restores cohesion after separate questioning. It also moves attention away from Mary's condition and the delay before 911. Listen to how quickly their discussion turns from medical decisions to whether the interview itself is a trap.
We go home and we get really baked, and I'd really like to not talk about it at all anymore today.
Okay.
It's so terrible. Can't ever do this again. We at least gotta take her. If there's problems, we gotta take him to the doctor at least to see.
Okay. Yep.
I'm sorry. I should have checked on her. Well, that I don't know. That's about. I was counting down. It's hilarious. I think they must have heard me on the phone. Because I told my mom at 7:30 I'm getting up out of here. Getting us out of here. And that was exactly when they came through the door to come talk to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, I'll wait till 7:30, but we're not under arrest. I'm not being charged. I'm here under my own compulsion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm free to go. So.
Your parents are still dead?
No, they went home.
The police versus us frame gives the couple a way to resist the interview, but it never reconciles the 3 commitments detectives built: the feeding routine, the recognized need for medical help, and the emergency delay. After this interview, Fusari was charged with felony murder and first-degree child abuse. She first entered a no-contest plea to reduce second-degree charges, then withdrew it and went to trial after Michigan law changed on duress. A Kent County jury convicted her of felony murder and first-degree child abuse. The court imposed life imprisonment for felony murder and 15 to 30 years for child abuse. In March 2023, the Michigan Court of Appeals affirmed both convictions. The appeal exposed a legal conflict already visible here. Fusari described control and abuse by Seth, but continued to deny committing the underlying act. The court held that this did not establish the required basis for a duress instruction.